All right. So, everyone, welcome to Moxie Whoop's Caregivers 911 podcast. I haven't been on in so long, but I decided to relaunch the podcast April 1st. So, today I have a special guest here with us today, Miss Greta Pontarelli. She's an amazing pole dancer. And guess what? She's in her 70s, honey. That doesn't mean you have to stop moving when you're in your 70s. So, Miss Greta, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I started doing pole when I was 59. My sisters both came down with osteopenia, which is the beginning of osteoporosis. So I knew that I had to do something. Even though I was in good shape, I wasn't having a program that had enough load-bearing exercises. And so I looked online, okay, what can I do to strengthen my bones? And I found on YouTube these amazing pole artists. And I said, this is art, this is acrobatics, it is dance, it is so beautiful. This is what I want to do.
Yes, I love it. I remember when I saw you on the Steve Harvey show, and I was like, oh my God. I said, Daddy, I met her before.
He was so much fun. He was so much fun. Yeah, that was great.
They were probably super thrilled and surprised, like, this lady is not, because at that time you were in your 60s, right?
Yeah, that was so good.
Wow, time flies.
Well, it does, doesn't it?
Yes. So we already answered the question on how you got into pole dancing. How has pole dancing changed your life?
Pole dancing has changed my life in so many ways. Well, first of all, the camaraderie of the pole artists and the people all over the world that I have met, and some of them are pole artists. They just say, because of you, I'm now running 5 miles a day.
Wow.
And I've developed relationships with these people. And that's the most important thing. It's all about people, and in some small way, trying to inspire them to not let age or any limitation keep them from going passionately after their dreams. So
I agree.
That's how it's enriched my life so much. It's the people that have been drawn to the message, and I just hope I can keep going. I hope to do it another 20 years.
Oh, you are. We're going to make sure you do. We're going to keep
rooting for you. Thank you so much.
So my next question, would you recommend other older adults to start pole dancing?
I think that you could do pole at any age, because there really is something for everybody. For some people, it's an art form.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it's a little more athletic, acrobatic. For some, it's total fitness. For some, it's just developing maybe like the Russian exotic, which is a little bit more femininity and sensuality. So there is something for everyone.
I love it. All right, my next question. What are your favorite pole tricks? Do you have one favorite, or is it many that you favor?
I think probably one of my signature moves, and it's doing a deadlift to do a handspring, which means you go into this handspring without kicking, and then you bring it down to what's called an iron flag, but I bend one knee, so it's called a passe iron flag. And I think that's kind of my signature trick. And I would say it's my favorite because I can use my strength moves to do things that I feel are a little bit more unique.
Yes.
And I can play with the different forms. I can move my legs into different shapes. So it really is kind of fun to do that particular move. But it's not easy. I have to keep constantly doing it or I'll lose it, because it does take a lot of strength, and it seems like you have to engage like almost every muscle.
Yes.
You do.
I only achieved the Arnex about like 3 times because I haven't like consistently kept practicing it. And like, it does take it takes balance, strength, coordination, all that together.
Yeah, it takes all of it.
I agree with you 100%. If you don't keep it, what they say, move it or lose it. If you don't practice it, it will disappear. All right, my next question. What would 20-year-old you say if 20-year-old you knew that you were pole dancing in your 70s?
I don't know. Well, when I was about 20, 21, I was doing gymnastics in school and college.
Look, Sue saw it was going to happen. It's a real interview, y'all. The dog
I was doing gymnastics when I was younger, and around that age, I went into a gym where they were doing gymnastics, and I wanted to train. And I think I was actually probably about 22 because I was done with college. And I said I was too old. The insurance wouldn't cover me. I was really kind of a liability. And to think that at 22, that I was a kind of a has-been in gymnastics, and to think that 50 years later, that I could be doing the same kinds of acrobatics in a different way. I'm doing them on the pole now. I don't know what I would have said to myself, but I wouldn't have believed it, because at that point I thought, okay, I'm too old. And then 50 years later, I'm not. So this is why I tell people, go after your dreams. Whatever your passion is, keep becoming the very best you can become. And don't let anybody say you can't do it, because everybody can do it at their own level. Everybody has a path. Find that path. Find that magic that makes your soul sing and share with the world.
It's so important now, since you just talked about, 22-year-old you, when they told you you was too old to do gymnastics. Let's talk about the awards you won in your 60s and 70s.
Oh, gee. Well,
if you don't feel like going through all of them, it's okay. But the most memorable ones.
Well, I have 11 world championships mostly in pole art, a few in pole sport. They're all memorable. I think the first one's always kind of surreal, because I remember getting on that plane, going to London, thinking, I must be out of my mind.
Right.
I really thought that. I thought, I'm not qualified. And to go to those championships where there's hundreds of artists, I think there were at least 350, and to hear the Star Spangled Banner, it's just, it really made my heart full. So that one was pretty surreal. But I think the second most exciting one for me is after I had both of my hips replaced. They removed my provisions in early December.
Right.
And in February, a few months later, I went to the World Championship in Florence, Italy, and again won another World Championship. And that meant so much to me, to think that I could come back, because so often people go through surgeries or they go through things and they think, okay, I'm going to have to change my life. And it didn't change anything. I feel blessed to have a great surgeon. Yeah. I mean, that meant a lot to me, to have somebody that I could trust, that I knew was going to understand that I needed to get back very quickly, and I didn't want to lose any flexibility. In fact, I gained flexibility.
Oh, wow, you gained flexibility after surgery?
See, I gained it because my body had created bone spurs on my hips. And those spurs were like a stop. And so I couldn't quite get into a complete split. And it kept getting worse and worse, to the point where, okay, besides the pain, that was the big reason, I knew that I had to have it taken care of, because it was just progressive. And to the point where, when I went to that championship, not the first one, but probably maybe anywhere from the 5th through maybe the 10th ones, or probably the 9th ones, they took me to the airport, down to the gate in a wheelchair. I could not walk that far. And then I go in there and win world championships. And you say, how? Well, pole, it's a lot of upper body.
Yes.
And you don't have to be able to have a lot of strength in your legs. You don't have to be able to have a ridiculous amount of flexibility. Yes, there are things that do take it, but it has it has a lot of different pathways that you can go. And so I found what worked for me and I just built on it. Some things my body wouldn't let me do, but then other things it would. And so you celebrate and build on those little victories.
And that's so important. A lot of us do not celebrate those small victories. We always wait for those big wins to come in. When you celebrate those small victories, you really appreciate those big wins.
That's so right. Because I remember when I first tried pole, I had one of those free coupons and I went back home. I said, I bet she thinks I'll never be back because it wasn't easy for me. But then all of a sudden you say, oh, I could actually climb up a little bit without slipping down to the floor, or maybe a spin that you, all of a sudden you start to feel the momentum and it starts to come together. It all starts to be cohesive. So I just feel so blessed that I'm able to find something I could do at my age, because there's so many things at my age you can't. There's very few people my age that can run marathons or tumble even. It's extremely difficult because you lose that fast twitch muscle, you lose the rebounding, the cartilage that you have. But pole is something that anybody can do at any age. We have very young kids doing it that are phenomenal. And then you have people like I am that are senior citizens. So it is one of those sports that really accommodates all ages, and there's something for everybody.
It definitely is. I love it so much. And I love when we go to PoleCon and we get to see, you know, what's new and what's going on in the community. We get to see kids performing, you know, we get to see the middle-aged group, we get to see older adults. And we all unite and come together and we have something special to share and we all can relate to one another.
Isn't that wonderful? Like I said, it's the people, it's the camaraderie.
Yeah.
It's such a empowering, supportive group of people. And it's not an easy sport. So, you know, so it's not for sissies.
No, it's not.
You know, at first you get bruised. I mean, you don't anymore. And you go to do a shoulder mount, you think, oh, that didn't feel so good.
Right.
But it's amazing how when you keep doing it, pretty soon your body adjusts, you get used to it. And what was once seemed undoable becomes doable.
I agree 100%. And it's so crazy. Like when you haven't tried, like if you haven't done a knee hold in forever and you try it again, it hurts so bad. But you're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, your body adjusts. The body's an amazing thing.
It is, definitely. My next question for you is, what is your daily fitness and nutritional regimen?
Well, I try to do something every day, but I do allow my body to rest because I've been the victim of overtraining. I think we all have at times where you say, okay, I wanted to nail this move, so I did it way too many times, and then you pay the price for it. So I have learned to kind of every other day, I would say I really work the pole, and the days in between, I try to do choreography. Like I'll go through that and I'll say, how can I leave more of my heart on the stage? How can I bring the story to life? And when we do these international performances, there's a lot to it because you have to create a video to frame it. So the video kind of frames the story. So you're trying to find a video that kind of makes the whole story gel. And the music, and then you're cutting the music. What music would help bring my story to life? And then you say, how would this character move? So that a move that you do in one routine with a different character is going to look different than the other, depending on the storyline. And so that's what I do on my choreography. I spend a lot of time really going through it. What kind of props do I need? And then working with those props. Because props, that's a lot of work because you have to make sure if you do something with a prop that it comes together at the right moment, the right time, and it all fits the story. So yeah, that's another thing. So I would say every other day I basically work out. And nutritionally, I eat pretty much a paleo diet, which is everything is organic and natural as possible. Fresh hot fish, everything is that I eat is grass fed. Like if I get eggs, they're free range. Lots of vegetables. We have on our land here, we have our organic garden and we have organic fruit trees. And so I think we try to grow a certain amount of it when we can. But the rest of the time, you know, we go to farmers markets and do everything we can to keep the inflammation down. That's why I say
that's so important.
paleo. Like I really stay away from gluten as much as possible. And I just want things that are life enhancing, things that really optimize the well-being of your body. So I've been into this for a long, long time, since in my 20s. So it has just broadened a little bit. But I think it's so important. Inflammation is key. It's just key. And keeping yourself the right weight, that's another thing that's really important, because it really is hard on your body when you allow yourself to get overweight. I mean, it really is. And it's much harder to pull too. So I know women that were ballet dancers, and they would say they would gain 3 pounds and all of a sudden their pirouettes weren't the same.
Wow.
There was that much difference on their knees and, you know, everything. It just didn't come together in the same way. So I really encourage people to take care of their bodies.
It's so important.
It's paramount.
And inflammation is the lead to a lot of chronic diseases.
It is.
People don't realize that, you know, what we intake, you know, we don't, the root, I think a root to a lot of things is it comes from nutrition and, you know, what we put in our bodies, everything. Like the same time, like if your car says that it needs premium gas and you're putting regular in it, it's not going to run right. So we have to treat our body the same way.
Exactly. And so I think that this is something our whole country could really look at a little bit more deeply and really look and say, what am I taking into my body? What kind of foods am I eating? Am I eating more live foods? I just think that there's too many people that their lives get busy, you know, and they stop at the fast food or whatever because it's easy and convenient. But I think they need to look at the long-term benefits of really doing something that is more life-enhancing and wholesome and more alive. It makes such a difference. I mean, I am so blessed. I really can't remember the last time I've been sick. It's been a long, 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 long time. And I mean, it's a lot of it is diet, exercise, and then part of it is surrounding yourself with inspiring, empowering people. And when you're going after your dreams, you feel that passion inside of yourself. It's life enhancing. It's something that makes you want to get up out of bed in the morning. And that energy within you, all those endorphins, those hormones, they're healing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So I think all those things, people really have to use their gifts, find their gifts. Some people bury their gifts. Excavate, bring those gifts out.
And putting your gifts in the cemetery is no good. It's no good.
That's right. That's a good one.
So my next question for you is, what was the most memorable pole dancing moment that you experienced?
Oh, you know, I do have one. It was in Pole Art, Italy this year. It was earlier this year. And it was just that the audience was, they put electricity in my veins. That's all I can say. Because it was a beautiful, they have them in these beautiful old Italian theaters.
Oh,
and
nice.
I did like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. And it was about rising out of the ashes because we've all gone through so much with this pandemic and everything going on in the world. And it was to empower people to rise out. We all go through challenges in life, but those challenges can become our strengths if we only allowed them. And so I had this sparkling Phoenix costume and wings. And when I started rising up, the audience they just went crazy, and they were like that through the entire piece. And so, like I said, I felt like the audience gave back to me a great gift, because by the time I was done, like I said, I felt this energy, this electricity that it didn't end. Even thinking about it, I can feel that coming back again. And I believe that's what's the beauty of a live performance, because there is this interaction. And when I see my videos, it's not the same. You know, it's like watching a classical orchestra on your computer versus to being there.
Yes.
You know, because it's organic and live, and the energy. And so, yeah, I would say that probably was my favorite. And that is because there was this connection, and it's something that every artist looks for. You want to bare your soul. You don't just want to go through moves or have it look like that's a nice trick. You want it to be something so much deeper. And that's something that I continually work on. It is a journey. It's not a destination. It's a journey of just to keep unfolding, like the 1,000-petal lotus, right? It keeps unfolding more and more and more. And I think as you get older, since you've been through so much in your life, by the time you hit 71, it gets easier to bare your soul, because you have more of those old soul qualities, right? So it gets easier. And we kind of have to, because we don't, although we do a fair amount of advanced tricks, we don't do the crazy advanced tricks. Our bodies won't do it. So we have to go deeper and do something that is more heartfelt and more artistic. And because the crazy tricks, we'll leave those for the young ones, the back full twist off of the pole, right?
Yes, but you know what? Sometimes the less crazier tricks are better. It's all about how you put those movements together and express.
Oh, I tell you, and some of them are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I see these things and I think, yeah, I love that move, but not in this lifetime.
Not right now. Like, I have some that I won't do. Like, I don't attempt that the back and forth fonzie. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Yes, that's another one. And there's the ones that where they do the shoulder mount and they come down and then they do the back flip off the pole.
Yes.
That's another. It's a gainer. Now, when I was doing gymnastics, I would have gone for that, but not now. I don't need it. And besides that, I don't know if that move would choreographically fit into my routine. When I think about it, like somebody said to me who was really a master at fonzies, she goes, I don't care if I do another fonzie in my routine. I just can't find a way for my characters to be doing that. I mean, you can take something else. You can take something else and the character can kind of express out.
Yes.
Fonzie, it's mechanical, you see? So there's not a lot of room to do something as unique or creative out of it. It's a little bit straightforward, but yes, the possibilities are limitless, and these young ones, they keep raising the bar.
Yes, I'm like, I can't keep up because, you know, I have pole poise, and so I'm always on there looking at different things, and I say, I can't keep up, like all these different tricks.
I know, and they're amazing. And there's so many of them that require the kind of flexibility that I don't have anymore in my shoulders or back. I did when I was younger. But as you get older, things your spine kind of does a little bit of this, and your shoulder, because everybody by the time they hit my age has had some kind of shoulder injury or something, and you get scar tissue, and it just, you can't work the same way. I mean, it's people that can do it, that are in their 50s and 60s, they have, maybe some of them have really good genetics. Maybe they have super broad shoulders and their lats are strong enough that they can compensate and do certain things. But I really respect my shoulders because it's so easy if you don't engage to get tendinosis or tendinitis. I mean, I've been through that. And in fact, when I competed in Polo, Italy, I guess it was 2 years ago, I had major tendinosis from overtraining. That's what I said I learned. So I was interesting. I could do a deadlift with it, but I could not climb. This, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Different muscles were recruited. So I think I couldn't run my whole routine to maybe 10 days before I left. I would just have to leave that climbing part out.
Right.
Everything else. And I really learned. So that's why I say, okay, because I was doing my routine maybe 5 times a day, running the whole thing. And that's, well, I wanted to be strong.
Right.
I wanted to be strong, and I wanted to make sure that I had all the cardiovascular, but I would better off sitting on the bike and getting it than keep running that routine, because finally my body said, okay, enough.
Enough already.
It started burning. And I go, okay, lesson learned.
We have to protect our shoulders and our back.
I know.
Now, my next question is for you. How does your family feel about you pole dancing?
My family they're fabulous.
Yeah.
My husband is so supportive. I have a son who is a violinist.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and he puts together the music, and sometimes he puts some sound design and some violin on it. But he's been just really supportive too. And my sisters have come a couple times. They went to Milan with me when I performed. My one went to Singapore. So they are extremely supportive. So my family and my husband's side of the family too. They're all very inspirational people, and they really are. They really have enriched my life more beyond measure, actually, because they been not only supportive in this, but in everything we do. So I'm really blessed to have a really wonderful, strong family, all of them. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have a good support system, because a lot of people don't have that. And when you have a great support system behind you, whether it's family, strangers, or friends, it helps you to go further in life, and it gives you more confidence.
It really does, doesn't it? Because there are times that I thought, oh, like when I went to London the first time, my husband says, "You've got this, you know, you can do this." And I go, okay. But it kind of, it takes you over that hump. And like I said, the people around me just have empowered my life more than they could possibly imagine. And the people that write me these lovely emails and say how I have inspired them, I think you don't know how much you have inspired me.
Oh,
I mean, really, to me, it's the people, because they give me the drive and the motivation to keep going.
I was just about
Because
to
I say, if this in some way touches the life of somebody else in a positive way, I need to keep going, because well, I started competing actually in, when was this? Was it, I think I had been in pole for a little over 2 years. So it must have been 2021, was it? 21 or 22. 2000. See, I have my numbers all wrong.
It's okay. Like, this pandemic can have you messing up.
You can edit that out. Okay.
Yes, I can edit it out.
I started competing when I was 61. We'll put it that way. I started competing at 61 because the people from American Ninja Warrior had seen my video, and they contacted me and said, "Would you like to come and compete at Venice Beach this week?" This is before CrossFit, so they didn't have too many women.
Right.
Yeah, so they were looking for them. I said, I had never seen the show because I don't watch TV really. I'm too busy working on my art form. So I said, okay, this sounds interesting. So the girl that ran the pole studio, I said, if you go, I'll go. I said, okay. So we went up there and I saw this huge contraption. If somebody has not seen it, you got to check it out. They've got the warp wall that I think is 13 feet. That's the ending that you have to go up. And I looked at this and I go, this is like way over my head, but this is cool. I'm going to do it. And I actually got farther than most of the women. And I did, I went part of the way. I was totally out of my element though, because I had never done things like salmon ladder or
like parkour.
Yeah, it was, I had not done the kind of training that you need for this. But anyhow, when that hit the TV, it said, and the oldest person to ever attempt the court, and it was me. And I thought, where is everybody else? And then I thought, I have to compete because I need to use the stage as a platform to give visibility to my message. Because if I just do my thing here and I never get those videos out there, because you know how a viral video can connect with so many people these days.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, I don't have any choice. I have to do this. And so I don't look at it as competition with somebody else. I look at it as a championship, a way that everybody comes together and shares their gifts. And for me, my competition is in the mirror.
Yes, and we always competing against ourselves to be better than we were the day before yesterday.
I want to walk off the stage happy. And if I walk up the stage happy and I feel that connection with the audience, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what makes it meaningful. And that, that really puts a feeling in my soul that is really indescribable. I just feel this aura of well-being and something very deep within that, something I want to carry with me my whole life. I keep wanting to manifest more of that. It becomes an elixir, so to speak. And that elixir just drives you to become the best you can become. Because you keep tapping into that at some point. It's like a wellspring of a fountain of total inspiration.
It's such a powerful connection to have.
It isn't. Everybody has it within them. A lot of people, like you said, it's been buried. It's been buried. It's been buried because of things that have happened in their life that they have not overcome and let go of. Or maybe they didn't have the catalyst around them. Sometimes you need people to catalyze you. Maybe they haven't found that whatever makes their soul sing. They haven't found it yet, but it's there. It's a treasure. It's about unfolding that treasure and finding that treasure. And I believe that my mission to somehow, in some way, be a catalyst for that in other people is probably what drives me to do all this. Because every time I go into the studio, sometimes it's really cold in there, when you
that is the worst.
And it's ice cold. I go, oh, like even today, it's gonna be cold. That's what puts the heat in my heart, right? That puts the heat. I go, okay, every time I think that it's cold in there, you know what I think of? I think of my friend. I have a dear friend who's married to an Eskimo, and she actually goes to the North Pole in the wintertime.
Oh no.
The winter.
Oh no.
She's amazing. And I tell you what she does. She dances on icebergs. And I said to her once, so what if you fall in? She goes, I jump in. She jumps into the Arctic Ocean. And I said, but how does it feel? She goes, well, for about 7 minutes, which to me is an eternity.
She stays in it for 7 minutes?
7 minutes, longer. For 7 minutes, you feel like you're being burnt alive, and then it's ecstatic, and I stay in there for an hour. And I said to her, I said, you're a mutation. She says, you don't die of cold, you die of fear. Fear, because when you are afraid, your heart beats so fast, you can't get oxygen, and your body naturally passes out. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to try that. And I'm not suggesting that anybody should, but I'm just saying that in the human consciousness and the realm that's within us, there are so many, there's this landscape of the soul that has so much to it that we've never explored. And she shows me that many things we thought we could never do, some people are doing. So if I could do a little bit more than I thought I could do, I'm moving in the direction of my dreams.
That's definitely inspiring to jump in icebergs.
Yes.
Sit in the
And
water.
so when I think about being in the ice cold water, the pool studio doesn't feel so bad now. Okay, yeah, it's a little cold.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like cold water, freezing cold water to like, I don't even like cold showers, but I know they're good for you. And every now
Yeah,
and then,
neither do I.
every now and then I think, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, Ona Cavela's into that, jumping into the cold water too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She says, all you do is you focus on your breathing. I go, yeah, but I'm freezing.
I can't.
So it teaches you really breathing is so important. It is about breathing.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that's about the breath. So when I see people do amazing things, it just keeps me going. It becomes something that moves me to cast my net a little broader.
And it's so crazy. Breath is the way of life. Breath gives us life. It's the song by the Florence and the Machines. It's called The Breath of Life. Oh my gosh, I love that song so much. It's amazing. And it just speaks to me. It's such a theatrical type of song. Have you listened to it before?
No, send it to me, please.
I'll send it to you as soon as we get off this interview. Like, you will fall in love with it. I did a art performance to it, and yeah, life, like when we're breathing, life is here, and as soon as your breath is gone away, life is gone. So breathing is so important.
It is. It's about breath, and it gets you through stress. It gets you through challenges. It's okay, just breathe. It gets you through childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing.
Every day, so many different forms.
Yes. So, and I try to, when I perform, I really try to focus on my breath. And I worked with an artist once who was kind of fine tuning my choreography. She goes, "It's great, but you're not breathing enough. You're holding your breath." She said, "So this time when you do it, I want to hear you breathing." So it was like, so the whole time I made it a little more vocal so she could hear it. And at the end I go, "Oh, this is interesting. I'm not tired." She goes, "Duh."
You were breathing, man.
So in other words, when I was holding my breath before, it was actually taking away some of the energy and some of the flow. And so you get tired much faster. But when I did that, when I consciously allowed the breath to keep going, I found out I had so much energy. I didn't get tired. The glucose came back into my muscles faster because, you know, after a move, there's that few seconds that your body has to rejuvenate itself before the next move. And so since then, I've really tried to focus on it. I still catch myself, particularly like in the air, flag our next kind of moves. You kind of, everything is so engaged, you tend to want to hold it, you know, maybe for a second, but I still try to breathe as best as I can going in and out. I really I'm working on that one, but that too is a journey. There's lots of journeys.
It is, definitely. And I think a lot of us have that bad habit with holding our breaths when we do certain moves. Until someone points it out, we don't realize that we're doing, like, I'm breathing, right? And then someone tells you, like, no, you're not.
I can tell because I look at the videos and my face is red. And I go, I know that I'm kind of upside down, but why is my face that red? Right?
Yes. Be like, I get to move better when I hold my breath. But that's not necessarily true. Now, what piece of advice would you give to a beginner pole dancer?
I believe when you first start out, you just have to find what works for you. You have to find what feeds your soul. And if for some people, if it's being feminine and beautiful, try dancing with scarves. Try doing things that are lyrical and beautiful. If you're more into the just for fitness, find some fun ways of maybe attaching. Oh, they have those straps they attach. It's like elastic bungee sort of. Try doing fun things with it. if you like the tricks, then pursue those tricks and find music that uplifts your spirit. Find music that says something to you. Because I tell people, when you're on the pole, the whole idea is to say something. You know, it becomes so much more meaningful if you go up to that pole, instead of me just going, okay, I'm going to do a move, right? It's not so interesting. But if I come up to the pole and I go, like, can I do this? I don't know if I'm going to find the powers, you know? This is the contraction, which is you always have to have challenges.
Right.
A victory and something. So I don't know if I can do this. Yes, I have found the power. And then you do it. See, now it becomes interesting because you go, is she going to do, you know, it's just not, look at this. You know, it's just not so interesting. So I've learned victory and suffering throughout my piece. And the same thing about even if you do something beautiful, it's not so interesting to be doing this. But if you go here, and then you back in again, and then you bring it back out again, it's much more interesting because you have that contrast. Like in classical music, they have crescendos. They have things where they go down and it's slow, and then they build it and they ramp it up. That's the kind of thing you have to do on the pole. So I recommend to people, to whatever they do, to do this because you will start finding that you'll start flowing and the music will uplift you. And pretty soon you won't even realize that you are working out. You're having
you will not.
It's like a child on a playground. They don't think I'm getting in shape when they're on the bars, whatever, or on the jungle gym. They just think I'm having fun. And it's kind of like that.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you just go in there and have fun and work on things. And so I tell people starting out, if you think it's hard, give it a month. Keep going, keep trying. Like I said, celebrate every little big victory that you have. And every little one is going to build on another.
Yes.
No matter how small it is, even if you still can't nail that move, maybe you're getting a little bit more comfortable going into it. Maybe you're starting to feel the flow, even though you can't lift into the handspring yet. You just keep it going. Deadlifts took me 3 years. They took me 3 years to develop the strength and the technique to do it. They were not easy for me, but I just kept going. And yet a Russian, which is probably most people would think it's as hard or maybe even slightly harder, I learned that immediately.
Wow, the Russian split?
Yeah, that was that. She showed it to me as soon as I went over the mental part to drop into it. I had that in a week or two, but the other was 3 years. But I wanted that deadlift, and what I learned is part of it was strength, but part of it was technique. You know, part of it was just learning on that move to turn towards the ceiling.
Yes.
To turn, that was a big one, and getting into that, you're rotating your hips up, getting into a crunch. That made a huge difference. And everybody has a different way. Like for me, my hip flexors are not good because of all the issues with my hips. So you get into an arch, it's very difficult for me. I mean, those legs do not want to lift up, but you go sideways, now you're recruiting different muscles, I can lift up. So you have to find what your body will do. There's different ways, different approaches of going into things. Some people go into it a little more straightforward, some go into it like a cartwheel. Some of them like to go into it and immediately go into a tuck, which gives you a little bit more momentum. You just have to play with it, and you find out. In my workshops, I teach people the easiest way to do it for them. Let's start finding the easiest way, and then build on it. If a tuck is easiest, we'll do it. Later, you can learn to do straight legs. But if you start out with straight legs, for most people, that's going to be hard, unless you have very strong hip flexors, and some people do. But that was not my thing. So I have to rely a lot on my upper body. That's what I do.
And you have to know, you have to work on what works for you and don't compare yourself to anyone else. And I know it's hard in the beginning because, we're learning, but you have to sometimes modify things to work for you and how your body works, because everybody's body is different.
And that's absolutely right. And that's what makes it so so individualized.
Uh-huh.
Each person brings something unique to it. Each person brings their own life experiences into the dance and their personality and the gifts that they have. And that's what makes it so beautiful, because you could keep expanding what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Keep growing in so many different ways. You just have to keep going. So I tell new people that the biggest issue with most people is if something's too hard, they quit. They think it's really hard and they quit, and everything is hard at first. Look at riding a bicycle. The first time you tried it, you're right.
Yes.
You probably fell a couple of times, and then once you've done it, you can do it the rest of your life and jump on it, no problem. So it's kind of like that, because part of it is just learning about momentum, learning about grip, climbing, learning to squeeze it up with those knees,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, these are just little tiny things that once you understand the biomechanics and the physics of it, it becomes much easier. And that's something that, you kind of have to learn, but it can happen very quickly.
It can.
So don't give up.
No.
Don't give up.
Love it. Now, my last question for you is, how should others embrace getting older?
I think age is just a number.
Yes.
I do. And I believe that they should look at life as a journey, as a continuum, and not let it keep them from doing what they feel is their passion in their heart. It shouldn't hold them back from anything. Sometimes you have to adjust things. There's some things maybe they would want to do that as your body ages, the road turns left, you turn left. Like I can't tumble like I used to, but there's other things I can do that are acrobatic and use some of the same kind of muscle groups that are just as fun. So I think people have to allow themselves to explore things and to try new things and to challenge themselves, because I've seen so many people, women particularly, they get in their 30s or 40s, they have a baby, they get extremely heavy and they go, well, I had a baby, I'm older now. I go, no, you're young. I'm twice your age, right? Say, no, don't give up. You're just at the most beautiful part of your life. You're just starting, really, where you can do whatever you want. The world's your oyster. Yeah. So don't give up, because I know I hurt my shoulder when I was 59. And I was doing extreme gymnastics. I went back to gymnastics and I was doing extreme gymnastics. And I stalled on a back tuck and hit and landed in a way where my shoulder hurt. And it hurt a lot for about 6 months. It was pretty bad. And I thought at 59, I'd go, okay. Actually, I said 59. That was 55. It was 55 that happened. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm older. I'm too old for this. And then at 59, 4 years later, is when my sisters got the osteopenia. And then I realized at 55, I had said I'm too old, and now at 59, I have no choice. I need to do this for my longevity. Bones, skeleton system is very important. And I realized at that point that at 55, I had really closed a lot of doors that now I am finding doorways where I once thought there were walls. And I'm walking through those doors. And that's it. Everybody sees walls at some point.
Yes.
But if you look, there's a doorway. And if you allow yourself, you can walk through that doorway and realize that a universe awaits you. With what I'm doing, the whole new world opened for me. I mean, I have traveled a number of times to Australia and New Zealand and Singapore, Hong Kong, and Europe, and went to Rio de Janeiro. I mean, all these places I've gone to compete that I don't know, as much as I love to travel, I don't know if I would have gone there just to go, but I had a purpose. And that purpose drove me to go there and to do something and to bring something to that. And at the same time, enrich my life with a new culture. I love seeing different cultures and different people and the history and the art. So it allowed me the opportunity to do that. I was in Italy in November and December this year, and I'm going back in May. So that's 3 times within 6 months.
Yes, that is amazing. And you don't hear people doing that often at all. And it's so great that you're experiencing different cultures because it helps to activate your brain. And, we need to keep our brain active so, certain plaque buildups won't happen. And just, it's so important experiencing new languages, new things, new rich foods that help the diet, helps the body. And what you're doing is just so amazing.
Yeah, I think I encourage everybody to try to expand their cultural horizons because it is just, it's been amazing to me. I mean, I know I love Turkey. That's another place. And I haven't been to Turkey probably, I don't even know how many times I've been there, 6 times maybe in the last few years. And I just found it fascinating because it's where Europe and Asia meet. They meet there. And the culture there and the markets they have there and the things that they have, and it's just like another world. People, there's other places I'd like to go that I haven't, but there doesn't seem to be pull some of them, like Marrakesh maybe. But yeah, it has allowed me to go into places like when I went to another world championship 2 years ago. It was in Ireland. And it was in Belfast, and I got to see, first of all, went through what happened with the Titanic, and which was actually, I didn't know I'd be that fascinated by it, but I actually was once I got there and saw it and saw how they put this together. It really was more interesting than I thought. And then seeing where they had, the Liberation Army, in Belfast, they had a lot of, they had like a war, but within the country, which was very sad between that. And you saw that area and it made you realize how important peace is, and it realized how important it is for people to have tolerance of each other and tolerance of different ideas and different cultures. And it was all because of lack of tolerance. Allow people the same freedom that you want. Right. Everybody wants to be able to live their dream. Everybody wants to be able to unfold their gifts. We have to allow other people to do the same. And they may think very differently, but it doesn't matter because there's many different faces. She's God, so to speak, or to whatever is called spirit. There's many different masks, but there's one spirit between all of us, and it's all one. And when you start seeing that and allowing that, you become much more tolerant of other people that have even very different ideas, and you want to understand why they think that way and learn and grow. And I feel that the travel has really opened a lot of those doors for me.
I love that you said that. It's so important because a lot of people, we force people to be the way we want them to be, and we all have a different name for a certain reason. We might not agree with everything someone decides to do or, what they believe in, but you have to respect that and learn why. It makes you a better person. You have to broaden your horizon. And I think traveling definitely helps with that.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And you just have to open your hearts and your minds to see the way they see things. And I am completely tolerant, and I think today there's not enough of that tolerance in the world. People ghost each other for not having the same ideas and the same opinions. And I think that's part of the beauty of the diversity. Not everybody's going to like the same thing or think the same way. And even if you it's a total dialectic and you think totally opposite, that's part of the yin and the yang. It's part of the beauty.
Yes.
If we all thought the same, it wouldn't be interesting, would it?
No, it wouldn't be.
Really. It is so, and that's what's beautiful when you see pole and you see such a diversity in the things that they do and how the dance. I mean, some people are very balletic. Background. Some of them are almost more like hip hop street, where they know how to do all these unique things with their body and all kinds of acrobatic flips. You know, some people are very bendy and they're contortionist almost. You see them move the body in ways you didn't know the body could move. And they're just all, beautiful. It's all piece of the art form. And it teaches you in life is like that. People come from different vantage points, experiences, and the diversity can be a strength if everybody accepts each other. The only time it's not a strength when you see it as opposition or different. It is unity. It's part of the beautiful plan of all this unity that it's art. It's beautiful. It's like different art forms. You know, they all have their beauty. Music, all different kinds of music. And people are the same way. And traveling has done that, and seeing what I see in the pole art world, which it allows a lot of diversity. I mean, some things not so much, like gymnastics, not so much. You know, the most diversity you can get is maybe using some unique music and maybe doing a little dance that's a little different. You know, maybe a moonwalk or something.
And that's about it.
There's similarity. But the pole, I mean, I've done like the pole where I started out on silk, starting out in a hammock, like a silk where I started out being born. So I was coming out of the womb, and that's what it represented. And then another time I had this fabric on me and I was chrysalis coming out, you know, a butterfly emerging, coming out of that. And so I had to go online and say, what does a butterfly look like when it comes out of the cocoon? How does it move? You know, how does it get itself out? So I had to watch these butterflies online, you know, in fast motion, and like they would speed it up so you could see. And then I tried to capture that essence.
I love that.
You know, so I tried to do that. And the same thing about when I came out of the womb being born, it was like seeing this world. You know, I had to go back to that moment. What's it like, that first moment that you take that breath? You know, you have to like try to do some method acting, even though you really can't remember it. There's somewhere within your muscle memory. It's there, right?
It's somewhere, right?
It's there. It's just, you know, it's just buried. So you think, okay, I'm going to watch babies come out. And I wanted to be somebody that was born that was peaceful. You know, sometimes they want you to cry.
We don't want that.
That wasn't happening in my corner. I wanted to come out with magic and wonder, like, oh, where am I? This is an amazing universe. And you kind of have to rekindle that wonder and that magic that children have. You know how when they see things for the first time, they get so excited. To us, okay, it becomes commonplace because we're used to it. So I had to kind of bring that wonder and magic back into my piece. And that's beautiful, because that makes you explore other dimensions of the human existence. You know, what does it feel like to be born? What does it feel like? And then you start becoming more compassionate to other people, and you have such great gratitude for this miraculous life that we're all in. I mean, we all have so much to be grateful for, particularly in this country.
Yes, because
even though we've got our issues and etc., why do so many people want to come here? It is. We should all be grateful for wherever we are, because there's a spirit here. There is a spirit that gives us maybe not all the freedoms a lot of us would like, but it gives us a level of freedom, a level of becoming the best that we want to become. And anybody in this country who works hard and goes after their dreams can do something with their lives. It doesn't have to be like what I'm doing in pole. It might be another art form. It might be something athletic. It might be an entrepreneurial thing. You know, something. Find it, excavate, bury, pull it out of the graveyard, as you said.
The rebirth, butterfly, metamorphosis.
Yes, allow it to be, right? Yes, it's like a rebirth of light. It's consciousness. And I truly believe that if people allow themselves, if they only allow themselves, they would see the endless possibilities of what they can do with their lives. It's endless. You know, it's really amazing what they can do. Just like my girl that dives into the Arctic Ocean. And she's a nomad. She's an adventurer. And in the summertime, she's in New York City. Now, if those are diametrically opposed,
Yes.
and she's from Moscow originally. Her son's in New York City, so she's there. But
Right.
the winter she goes to the probably one of the coldest places on
The
earth.
coldest place on earth in the winter.
And you know what? This is what they say. This is how she thinks. This is what that dimension. And I love sharing this with people because most people don't. I've never met anybody like her. Okay, and most people won't probably. She says, "Why go to the North Pole in the winter every winter?" She said, "The crystalline dimension, the peace, the earth, and I'm in love with icebergs." She said, "Why icebergs?" She did a whole book on icebergs. And they said, "Why icebergs?" She said, "Because they're ancient. The water in this iceberg is ancient. It was like some of it's millions of years old." And there's something about every snowflake is different. Everyone is like a perfect crystal. And there's something about that dimension that is so pure and so serene that she said she gets into it's like she's one with the Aurora Borealis, you know, the Northern Lights. And
yes,
she said,
the Northern Lights are so beautiful.
Yeah, she says, "I'm one with all of that." She says, "It comes in with all this." She says, "It's like another world."
I bet.
It's another world that most people will never get the opportunity to experience because most people aren't going to go to the North Pole, let alone the wintertime, right? Right?
No.
So she shares that, and I vicariously, I feel that. And when she writes these beautiful messages to me, she's so cosmic. It's made her very cosmic. It's made her connect with the light of the universe. The light, like when the light comes over the horizon, you know, to see that person and all this crystal, there's something magical. And everything she does is, it's ethereal, it's serene, she has such peace in her heart. Such great joy just emanates from her. Her aura is, when she walks in a room, it contains the room. Right? And she's always doing things for the indigenous people there. And she talks about things that they do for the planet and the universe. And it's just heartwarming to find people like that. And that is somebody that I met doing what I'm doing, because I got picked up for a coffee table book. It's in Russian. And it is 60 amazing people over 60. And somehow I got in this book. I think I'm the least amazing person, but I got in there.
Oh, no, you are amazing. Don't say that.
If I showed you this book, you'd see. But anyhow, so we both were, I was given a seminar in Europe, and it was all in Russian, the seminar. And she was there, and she was taking pictures of me. And she wrote this beautiful note when she sent these pictures to me, and we got to communicate. And she said, "When I watched you spin with such freedom around the pole, I felt like I was one with the cosmos and looking at the northern lights." Because as you fly, you know, when the move that I was doing was, you know, the one where you go sideways around the pole, like you're walking in the air, and it's almost like you're flying. And it gave her, watching me gave her a sense of euphoria that took her back into that moment. And she said it triggered that. So she has every wonderful piece of art or experiences trigger this feeling that she gets by going to the North Pole in winter. I mean, she said it kind of changes every cell in your body. It changes you in a way where you never see the world quite the same anymore. You know, your whole world kind of, you see it through a different lens.
I bet you do, because it's a place that people rarely experience, and the civilization is a lot different than a normal civilization where we all live.
I know. It's meeting those kinds of people, and the kinds of people that were there. I mean, there was somebody who ran a marathon in his 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, and people doing just all kinds of amazing things, skydiving in the 80s, professional ice skating, or not professional in the sense,
Right, but I see.
but still doing it for some shows where they made some money. It wasn't like shows on ice. And she was probably in her 70s at that time, or maybe 80. I mean, just amazing. It's just amazing. There's a gymnast who's now in her early 90s who still does some basic gymnastics, nothing super hard, but most people can't do anything at that age. And so
No,
she's amazing what she can do.
I need to interview everyone in that book.
So yeah, and it's about this thick. It's all in Russian. So I don't know even what
Well,
they
I'll
say.
teach at a Russian facility so I can get somebody to translate it for me. I know how to say hi, bye, how you doing in Russian. That's about it. And tell you I'm done with you. But I can get one of them to translate it.
But yes, I would say that 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 was another thing, because that book Get Out, there was a lot of publicity around the book. Like, I was on Australia television. They came and they wanted they wanted me to say something on it. I did it from LA though. They wanted me to be on Australia television and talk about what I'm doing, and a few other things that kind of started giving visibility. And that's it all kind of snowballed, so to speak. You know, and I think that was right before I started competing too. So it all kind of, my mission just started going into play. It became life consuming. I mean, you know, I never thought in my 20s that I would ever exactly be doing this, but I did a lot of dancing, like in my 20s and 30s, where we danced in New York and we did choreography, I did things. So I kind of knew my life, that I wanted to continue to do what I was doing in some way, to touch people through it. But I didn't even know what a pole was. I didn't even see a pole until I saw these videos. And people said, well, didn't you ever see a stripper pole? I said, not really, because I don't watch TV. Like, you might have seen it in a movie or something.
Right.
And I never went into one of those clubs with a stripper pole. And I think they came around the 80s, but it really didn't start with that stripper pole. People think that it did, but it actually really started. I think it was India. I think it started somewhere where they trained their wrestlers by using poles and doing acrobatics on. So it was quite a few hundred years before that. And then I guess in the 80s, it became popular in the clubs because it became a prop that you could do things with. And then people that were really good at that started getting into the pole world. So they started saying, you know, I could teach workshops, I could do things with my art form.
Right.
And they kind of got out of that and made it into another one and started competing in the world stage. And, you know, some of them have gone to Circus du Soleil. So it's truly is something for everybody.
It's a great art form.
It really is. And it is a lot of fun, as you know. How often do you train?
So I try to at least train twice a week in between my work schedule, because I'm working with older adults doing exercise and fitness and helping caregivers navigate through the journey of caring for an aging adult. And then along with making a pole grip and making sure that gets shipped out. So I make sure I at least train twice a week, and then I do like yoga in between to keep up my flexibility and endurance.
See, that's wonderful. That's a perfect blend. That's a perfect balance. It has to be a balance. It has to be a balance between days, like days that I work heavy on strength, and the next day I do practice more of the flexibility. And I do practice more of the yoga and things that, you know, okay, so you've got to renew some of those muscles, have to rejuvenate, and then we're going to use other muscles. And we're just going to stretch and breathe and do the asanas. Yes.
Yes, it's so important to have that breathing technique. And me, the one that teaches yoga, and I'd be like, oh, why am I holding my breath? My friend like, Misha, you need to breathe when you're doing this routine. I was like, yeah, I should know that, right? I'm teaching other people. You have to breathe while you're exercising. So funny. But now I want you to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, if they have any questions to ask you, any information that you would like to give to the audience.
I love hearing from people, and I really try to answer every single email that I get. If something happens that I don't, try another place, because sometimes in like an Instagram, there's this hidden folder that you have to
Yes.
prove the people. And so I go, oh my gosh, somebody contacted me a month ago and I didn't see this. So everything's on, I mean, everything is out there. Like if you go to my website, it shows my real email address, etc. So if I don't, please find me. But on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, my website, it's Greta Pontarelli. So facebook.com/Greta, Greta Pontarelli, P as in Paul, O, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, Arelli. And I have a handle on Instagram. It's Ariel Zen, Aerial Zen, Zen, because when I first started doing it, it was really about doing something that was life enhancing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was Ariel, and it gave me that inner kind of Zen kind of peace. Like I felt like doing it when I would leave, I felt like I'd just been to a spa.
Yes.
You know, because like I said, the endorphins are going, you have this feeling of well-being, this centrifugal force of going around the pole, you know, you get that kind of feeling that is euphoria.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So it's more than just working out. There's a euphoric element to it too from all the spinning. So I got, this is very Zen, like, so, okay, Ariel Zen. So that's my handle there. And I do love hearing from people. They send me videos, they ask me questions. I do workshops. I do travel a bit to different places. Some people want me to come to their towns to do workshops, and I'm open to doing that. I do a lot of them actually.
Nice. Oh, well, thank you so much for this lovely interview. And I appreciate you for taking out time for
Yes,
me.
and